One of the things that now that we have our TV here, we'll be able to watch the red carpet
Oh
together as
yeah.
the show goes on.
Rate the outfits. Like we can
Yeah.
rate Jason
That
Jones
sounds like a
closer.
Jason Jones article.
It does. I mean, Jason's outfit right now is strong. He looks good.
Where you coming from? Where you going, man? Look at I like that jacket.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Little special little frat thing here. The bros know about this right here.
Well, that's pretty much what you wear. Is something related to your frat or the athletic?
I mix some other stuff.
Occasionally Dodgers.
Well, I'm not. We don't
Put the
speak.
Dodgers stuff in the closet this weekend.
We don't speak on that right now.
Oh, okay. My bad.
With some whoop ass.
My bad. That's me.
We'll do it again in September. Don't worry. We'll see you guys again in September. Be another beat down. This is the time, though. Finally, it's taken a decade, but we finally can, because Dodgers usually beat the hell out of the Giants in the regular season. I think we got them now. We got them.
Oh,
we got them.
Okay.
You doing anything for the draft?
I don't know. They got me down. They want me to be available. What that means, I have no idea. I mean, I don't know if I'm supposed to be doing like fashion or I don't know. I'll be doing something. Exactly what, I don't know. I'll be kind of monitoring Scoot Henderson because I talked to him a couple of weeks ago. About Shooting Stars, and Jet Howard is another guy who's in that movie. He's gonna probably get drafted. So they'll figure out something for me to do.
Does the Athletic know the draft's in 2 days? like maybe they should give you an assignment or something.
I mean, trust me, this is way more chill than going, okay, the Kings are drafting this far back. That means there's this many more possibilities that I can figure out, So I'll be on the blog, whatever, chiming in with stuff, whether it be draft observations. I'm sure someone's going to wear a fun suit that I'll have to.
I vote fashion. You've got to. I 100% vote fashion. You got to cover that aspect.
Oh yeah, I mean, because everyone knows. Hey, I'll be Mr. I don't know. I'll be Rick Martell. I'll be I'll be like
Rick
I'll just pretend like I'm Mr. Fashion, but I'm gonna have fun with it.
You gotta wear the sweater tied around your.
Oh yeah,
yeah. Arrogance. Yeah.
Yeah. Assess the draft cap. Assess how they wear their. Did the high draft picks make sure their suits were going to complement where they were going? Who takes their brim and gets it broken in right away? Who goes with the straight brim and leaves it? There's so many things to go into. I mean, I'm gonna have fun with it.
We got a Rick Martell reference, by the way. I guarantee there ain't another radio show in the country.
Nobody else. The model today. Rick Martell. Where was he at before? He was with
Strike Force.
Yeah,
he was with
Tito Santana.
That's right. Yeah, that he turned into the model. I feel like I know the answer to this, but I'll ask it anyway. You ever been to the draft?
Not the actual draft. I've been to the lottery and I've been inside the room for the lottery, but I haven't been to the actual draft.
Is that something you think you might want to go to? Like, have you heard it's a good event to cover or be at or something like that? Or
probably not. I mean, I probably wouldn't want to go. I think, unless you're working on something very specific, I think the draft, all of them are insanely just crazy to be invested in. Once you're, I mean, I don't know what I'd even do with the draft now. I mean, it's very, from what I understand, it's very controlled. It's not like they're going to let me hang out with the third pick for an hour. And those guys get picked and they just get shuttled from media to media to media to media. I remember one year covering the Kings, they forgot to bring Jimmer to the local media part to do his phone thing. Because Jimmer was so popular, everyone had to talk to Jimmer. So yeah,
so who's talking to? I'm not saying anything about Jimmer, but who's talking to him? You got the broadcast, television broadcast, NBA radio, then the local. That should be about it. Who else are we talking to here?
But I mean, they got a bunch of people out there too, so they got a bunch of media there. Sometimes they'll get stuck there, and then like you said, you got your TV. got ESPN, you got your NBA TV. Then the radio people are separate from that.
Huh.
So if you do NBA, the TNT, if you do NBA, that doesn't mean you've done NBA radio. And and then you got to give your preferred insiders their insight in their time. So I mean, from what the guys have always told me, by the time they get done, they've been asked the same question. It feels like 50 times. How do you feel? How do you think you're gonna fit? I'm waiting for somebody to be like, you know what, this is a terrible decision by this team. I don't want to go. I want someone to say, I have no idea why they picked me. This GM is crazy. I play the same position as their best player.
Who are the well, Joel said he didn't do that. Remember Joel when he got drafted? The look on his face. Oh, Joel
was trying to move up to get him bad that year.
Joel was looking not happy, but he said it was because of something else. It wasn't because of that. Obviously, the most famous one is Steve Francis.
Oh yeah, Steve was devastated. And I like Vancouver. I've been there. I like Vancouver. Steve looked like he was getting sent to prison. He just looked like, I mean, he looked worse than when Eli Manning was trying not to go to San Diego. I mean, he had a whole family campaign. His dad's like, yeah, my boy, he doesn't even like.
Yeah, we're gonna keep working this out.
Yeah, he doesn't even like warm weather. Southern California, no, he don't like that. No.
Did you talk to Chuck D for this article that you wrote?
I talked to Chuck D for like an hour and a half. Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, talk about bucket list items and things that I'll tell my kids about that they won't care about. Yeah, I talked to Chuck D for like an hour and a half.
So what? So the gist of it was like the celebration of sports leagues trying to embrace Juneteenth.
Yeah, about a bunch of things. Yeah, but that ended up being one of the many things. Yes.
What was your takeaways? Let me rephrase that. Was there any takeaway that you didn't put in the article from that conversation with Chuck D?
It was more broad about that, like trying to get black fans back into baseball.
Mm-hmm.
Talked about the challenge baseball has is that baseball doesn't just have it's not just black fans. It's Afro Latino fans. It's the Caribbean, and just kind of how you get fans, younger fans, black, everything is kind of invested in the game and interested in the game. Like he said he's in his 60s, so back in the day it was no big deal to you and your boy go out there, he pitch, you pitch, he pitch hit, take turns, and whoever's hitting the ball goes out and gets all the balls and brings them back and take turns. He calls them screenagers. He said kids these days aren't doing that. They'd rather be on their screen on their phone than doing all that.
Yeah.
And so we hit on a bunch of different things. I mean, I'll have probably some other stuff coming out talking about hip hop and sports, and with the 50th year, 50 years of hip hop this year. Just talked about He Got Game and kind of even how the role music plays during games. And he's like me; he thinks these some of these DJs are a little out of hand with the in-game music. Like, at some point, can we kind of watch the game? Like, just dropping the Migos like at a free throw for no reason. Like, okay, thank you. I mean, I guess. We hit on so many different things. Talked about why he wore the Raiders stuff back in the day, even though he's a Jets fan. Talked about the early makings of America's Most Wanted with Ice Cube. Talked about, we were all like I said, it was supposed to be like a 15-minute conversation on a Saturday morning, and we just hit it off and just kept going.
That's what's up, man. That's
been a hell of a podcast right there.
Yeah,
this is Jason and Chuck D talking about all this stuff. That would have been something.
What were not to step too much on the article. Everybody go check that out on The Athletic. But like, what was both of you guys' thoughts about sports leagues trying to incorporate Juneteenth into what they do?
Kind of just there's a lot of work to do, and if you saw some of the comments on the story, you see why. Somehow I found out that I was part of the liberal leaning media pushing an agenda.
No, you are.
And I was like, not once as I typed was I thinking that I was pushing an agenda on anyone. It was just, yeah, it's, there's a lot of work to do in the sense that you mentioned Juneteenth and people all of a sudden get your politics out my sports. I'm like, there's so many damn holidays during the baseball season.
Right.
And all of a sudden this is politics.
Right.
Like, get your holidays out of here. I just want to watch my game and that's it.
When the Athletics started, it was great. It was so nice to go on the site and get away from this political crap. I knew that when the New York Times bought the Athletic that this nonsense would be pushed. It's every single day. This is what will cause me to cancel my subscription.
I got a few of those, and I'm sitting there going, wow. Okay, this is interesting. But I didn't even have the most commented story of the day. The story of the day on the site was the story about the Rangers not having a Pride night. That thing had like 1,200 comments, so I didn't even bother to look at those comments.
Jeez.
Oh, this is.
I got near 200 just from that, and people who didn't even read the article, assuming that I was like, because remember when 2020 when baseball, inverted their logo and made it black and white for Juneteenth.
Yeah,
and that's when the people said, "See, didn't you know that MLB backwards is BLM? See, they're pushing the agenda."
Come on, man.
Wow.
And I'm sitting there going, "Who in the world sits around and thinks of this stuff? Like, maybe I'm just not conspiracy theory enough. Maybe I just don't care enough." But I'm like, who sits around and goes, like, after however many 100 years of baseball, they decided right then, wow. We can get to the BLM agenda.
They were ahead of the curve.
Back when they weren't letting black people play, they were Black Lives Matter.
Let's push the agenda on a sport with the fewest amount of black people. It's fascinating sometimes, but I just have fun with it. But some of the messages I get, I'm like, wow, like you really got that from this? Like, I didn't even say any of that stuff.
Oh, I might have found the one. Oh, man. Derek says, I love this Juneteenth idea. Would love to see more emphasis on how half the white people in our country fought to free the slaves, though. Bloodiest war on American soil. Oh,
sorry.
That man, frame that comment.
That's a hell of a take right there.
Juneteenth should be about the white people who died to free the slaves.
That's a hell of a take. I can't. Wow, that's. Wow.
That is the single most incredible comment I've ever seen.
Nice article, but could you go back and give us more context on these white people? What? Okay. Clearly, I mean, like I said, but then again, I'm part of the agenda to push the liberal agenda on the masses, as evidenced by anything I write now.
The interesting thing about, like, I would say the narrative and just like what you would think about is MLB is like far removed from, hip hop culture and black culture or whatever. I end up watching like a lot of MLB. Like, I'm a big Major League Baseball fan. I watch the network. I'm on the app a lot. It seems like they actually make an effort to like, try to ingratiate themselves to, a different demographic. Now, I'm not just talking like color, but like a younger audience, music, stuff like that. But I guess it doesn't resonate unless you're like really on the site a lot. But it seems like they really do try to do that stuff. They actually like promote the bat flips and home runs and all the things that people say that they try to like get out of the game. If you watch commercials and watch these highlight shows and stuff like that, they're like showing the Tatis and the Acuna Juniors and then, pimping and walking the out the box and all this other stuff a lot. But people always kind of seem to think that they're trying to get away from that when actually it's the opposite, I think.
And that's what Chuck was pointing out. He said baseball is trying. They just got some work to, but they're definitely trying. They're not trying. They're trying, even with some of the community programs. I know they have Ken Griffey Jr. trying to work with them on some programs to help. I mean, even with the media and stuff. I mean, they're like, hey, we'll try to make these guys available if you want to talk to them. They're trying, but I think part of the problem that baseball has is that for all that effort, you got guys like my man Clayton Kershaw who acted like Yasiel Puig was the like destroying the game from within with his enthusiasm, and you still got players in the league.
Madison Bumgarner,
your boy.
Madison Bumgarner. That's the one thing I hated about him.
Yeah, they pushed that old guard, and it's like, I'm sorry, most of we don't care to think like that anymore. It's like some of that thinking is from a generation or an era where people who look like us weren't really welcome. So maybe we don't want to roll like that. So I think part of baseball's problem is when you've got players or announcers who will say, oh my God, look at that, look at that. He's so lackadaisical. It's like a million guys don't run out a ground ball to first. But why is it a problem when he doesn't do it? All of a sudden, he's disrespected the entire history of baseball. So I think there's still some people in baseball who make it tough for them to do that because they're fighting it. They're trying to keep, quote, their game their way. But I think eventually, you would think that things would just evolve because, there was a time when the NFL was anti-celebration. And now I think all those guys from back in the day want their money back. I think they probably owe Chad Johnson a cool $1 million.
Yeah, I love that. You're disrespecting the history of baseball because baseball's history is really glowing.
Yeah. There's just so many. Yeah, it's spotless. They've never had any issues in baseball.
Do you have a moment where you remember like hip hop really being ingrained in sports?
I don't keep trying to think.
We had this conversation on a Lost Corners of the Culture episode a couple of weeks ago, and
they got to come on Corners of the Culture.
Oh,
we got to figure that out.
Easy.
Yeah.
We really centered it on Allen Iverson. It felt like Allen Iverson really brought something that clearly scared the NBA into making some changes, but he was the epitome of hip hop in sports. And I think like we talked about this when AI and Shaq went into the Hall of Fame. Like Shaq's obviously the better player. Like he's one of the greatest players we've ever seen. I'd argue Allen Iverson's influence on the game is even greater than Shaq's. I'd argue Allen Iverson's influence, period, is greater than Shaq's. And part of that is because of the way he dressed, the cornrows, the do-rags, the earrings. I saw a picture of him. It might have been a League Fits thing. He had the early 2000s triple XL sweatsuit on.
Yeah, I remember for years it was kind of like more of a niche, like joke thing. Like we're gonna have the team do the rap song, the Super Bowl Shuffle. We're gonna have the Lakers let Kurt Rambis rap, and and Kareem. It was a lot of silliness, but I think AI was able to bring in a level of like authenticity because it wasn't that's who Allen really is, and he brought that to the point that I think it scared David Stern. He's like, "Oh my God, they're up here dressing like Nelly. We got to stop this." Their pants are big now, And then you had guys showing up to games in jerseys with chains, and now they're on the side, like injured players have diamonds on, and he's like, you can't sell this, And that's something that Chuck and I talked about too, and especially pertaining to John Morant. He was like, he said he's pretty sure Ja's business people listen to his playlist and go, "Oh my God, we got to, this is not good." And that's kind of the tussle that a league like the NBA had when Allen was rapping, is that there's a part of the hip hop to where it's so edgy that the NBA can't be associated with it. And so Allen went a little too far.
Allen definitely went too far. That's my guy.
So,
but Jules was wilding in them lyrics.
Yeah. So that's kind of the tension. But even still, you see the NBA embracing it, and still embracing hip hop, It's just, it's when their players decide, hey, I want to dabble in this. It's like, hold up, how far are you going to go? And Chuck said he thinks Dame Lillard has done it the best. He said Dame is creative. He's good. And he said he thinks Dame, being from Oakland, he said Dame probably listened to a lot of guys like 40 growing up. So he understands about being clever and saying what you want to say without saying it directly. Yeah. So he said he thinks Dame figured it out, but a lot of guys can't figure out that you really can't be them while playing in Adam Silver's league. Like, you can't some things you just can't say and then show up at the All-Star game and not expect the league to be tripping on you. It's like some lyrics I love that I know if I don't know, if LeBron or Jason Tatum was like saying some of Kendrick's lyrics, Adam Silver would probably make a phone call and be like, hey, we don't want that, or we don't want, drill music as a part of the slam dunk contest.
Oh man. Yeah, it's
thankfully LeBron James knows the words to all of the songs right after they come out.
He's on.
LeBron was in the room when they wrote them. What are you talking about?
Well, LeBron did get Kendrick Lamar to release an album one time, so
to me, that's probably LeBron's greatest achievement in sport.
Facts.
People are about never mind MVPs and championships. He just drops like a social media thing, man. I need some Kendrick Lamar. Kendrick's like, oh my bad, LeBron. Here you go. Here's an album. It's like, what? I'm like, LeBron, let's give LeBron a list of people who need to make an album.
Yeah.
And he's like, hey, LeBron, can you tweet about this? Instead of like subtweeting my buddy Michael Malone, you tweet about music for a couple of weeks. Give us some new music.
What did he say about Michael Malone? I missed it.
That was a Europe tweet, wasn't it?
Yeah, I'm in Europe and people out here being lame or something like that.
LeBron,
hey, Michael Malone brought up the Lakers like 4 times.
I kind of don't blame LeBron right there. I kind of don't blame him.
Well, at the parade, it wasn't him. It was the announcer who said that he made the Lakers, that he became the Lakers' daddy. I mean, he wore the shirt.
A LeBron joke about retiring, didn't he?
Oh yeah, he did do that. Yeah, he said he
said that on like Dan Patrick or SVP, something like that.
Hey, but to be fair to Malone, everyone made that joke. Like, cause no one believed LeBron retiring.
Nobody.
Well, Chris Anthony it was something.
They believed that for 0 seconds. Oh yeah, he's going to retire now.
Hey, real quick with that, with the hip hop and the NBA thing, I always thought the NBA did a really good job of embracing hip hop. We talked about this on the pod that will one day be re-recorded, but look at like their stuff in the early 90s, the NBA Inside stuff and NBA Jam Session. Those things were all kind of hip hop based a little bit. But like we talked about with Allen Iverson, that was, to no disrespect to them, but Jam Session and Inside stuff, that was Fresh Prince and Jazzy Jeff. Allen Iverson came with with
that was not Fresh Prince and Jazzy Jeff.
Right. He thought he was on Rough Riders.
Pac and Skywalker.
He thought he was hanging out with DMX and
right. But I always thought the NBA was always early to embrace it. They've still done it to this day. I mean,
yeah.
You look at their All-Star game. This is where I think Major League Baseball really misses the mark. Look at the NBA All-Star game compared to the other All-Star games. I mean, it is a rap concert that they play basketball at. That's what the All-Star game seems to be. So yeah, they have always embraced it.
Yeah, I don't know how baseball does an equivalent, because I don't think their All-Star stuff is set up similar. But I mean, there's what they say there's a will, there's a way. I think, because remember when Ken Griffey Jr. turned his hat backwards, and that was, oh my God, how dare you turn your hat backwards during batting practice? There's just so many, and to me, just internal baseball things they got to get over. It's like, that they just have so many funny moments like that. Like, oh, these guys are wearing jewelry during when they play. Now I think they gotten used to it, but this baseball has had so many like uptight things. I was like Ken Griffey could, if baseball wasn't baseball, he was like a star, like a superstar. But imagine they let him let loose a little bit more, and they weren't tripping off of stuff like that. How that Air Max Griffey still sells.
Oh, for sure.
I just ordered me a pair of them. So yeah.
Yeah, facts.
Yeah, so they could have, I think there's opportunities with baseball because some of their biggest stars are basically part of the hip hop generation. Tatis, Mookie Betts. You go across the league, you got some guys, who are good players who can, reach across kind of the cultural generations, the age gap and all that. So I love baseball. When I go to games, I see people who look like me. I see a lot of people who don't. But I think, like I said, baseball is definitely trying, but I'm just glad we're past the, oh my God, he wore his hat backwards,
That was the equivalent of the Obama tan suit controversy.
Yeah. Like of all the things going on in the
world, everyone lost their minds.
It's like, we can see the Major League Baseball logo when he's standing there. And it was. Yeah, and then, like I said, part of it is internal. Like I said, I'm a Dodger fan. I'm like, Clayton, loosen up, God. Puig was fun
too, both of them.
Yeah, Madison was. That was embarrassing.
Madison was the worst.
Yeah, that was embarrassing.
It's always good when Jason Jones writes an article that pisses people off. I love it. This is great stuff. Make sure you go check it out. We just retweeted it from our different social media accounts. Great stuff. I can't imagine how awesome it was to talk to Chuck D, and we look forward to the further work you'll have coming out based on that conversation. And then we'll be locked in, man. We're looking for the cultural and fashion reviews coming up Thursday at the draft, or whatever they assign you to do.
Let's see what it do. Let's have some fun with it,
Jay, we appreciate you, man. Thank you, brother.
Take care.